Protests outside Stamford Bridge, journalists downplaying a crowd, and a fragile 1-0 lead hanging in the air. This had all the ingredients of a classic Chelsea slip-up. And don't let the scoreline fool you. This game was on a knife's edge. One mistake, one counter, one bad touch, and you're suddenly chasing chaos again. This game wasn't pretty. It wasn't comfortable. But somehow, Chelsea walked away with 3 points and a clean sheet. And honestly, we needed this. What's up, y'all? It's your boy Fouet here with another video for your Chelsea versus Brentford match review. And before we kick things off, I think it's important that we start with the atmosphere and the context before the game, because that context is important. Chelsea fans organized a protest outside of Stamford Bridge, and tensions began kicking off even before kickoff. And yet, you had journalists acting like the crowd was irrelevant or didn't matter, right? They were acting like Stamford Bridge doesn't influence games. Nah, because I disagree. There was an edge to this. And I loved the fact that the fans were out there protesting. I saw fans holding up different types of banners, from Blue Coat out to We Want Our Chelsea Back. I even saw groups from different nations, like folks from Indonesia coming out to support Chelsea fans. It was beautiful to see. And I hope this is something that we can continue, something that we can keep up, because this ownership group needs to hear this and they need to know how Chelsea fans really feel. So jumping into the game, one thing that people were confused about was that there was no Esteval in the starting 11 and he was not on the bench. He was not involved in this game whatsoever. So let's clear that up from the jump. There's no injury to Esteval, which is great news. From what we heard, he was ill and watching the game from home, and it appears to be the same flu, the same virus that's just been running through Stamford Bridge with a lot of the squad players as well as staff. We already saw this last game against Arsenal when we had Delap and Gusto and a few other players who were affected with the same virus. The first half of this game was all about pressure and frustration, right? We weren't playing well, but then João Pedro in the 25th minute, just from sheer pressure, he's putting pressure on the back line. Granted, we're not playing pretty football at this point, but he forces a mistake, he stays sharp, and then he finishes the goal. Obviously, VAR has to check it because he's right on line with the last defender. Inches, I'm telling you, inches from offside. Long pause from VAR, goal stands, and it becomes his 8th goal of the season in all competitions. And the timing was just perfect for this goal. After that goal, things really didn't settle. Everything went down the left-hand side. Our Garnacho was like literally working extremely hard, driving at defenders, winning a bunch of corners. Credit to him for the effort because he was really working hard. But my issue is that it became very, very predictable, right? And I kept thinking, like, why aren't we moving it to the right-hand side? Why aren't we giving Pedro Neto more opportunities to drive at his man, to cross in the ball? Why were we going through Garnacho for every single play? And Brentford knew it, right? So something had to change. I think as a team, like, we need to figure out different ways of attacking, because right now it feels like we're just way too predictable and we need to kind of like diversify our attack a little bit. Sometimes go to the right, sometimes go to the left. Like, don't always go to the left play after play after play. And I think that's something that Liam Rosenior has to talk to the team about, because we were just super predictable. And what really doesn't help is that Cole Palmer also wasn't having a great game, right? He was extremely quiet. But I think that there's also some context behind that as well. He was like hardly involved, right? And when he got the ball, he didn't flow. Like, he wasn't moving the way that Cole Palmer moves. He wasn't taking on his man. He wasn't cutting in, cutting out, trying to dribble around players. Like, you just didn't see the Cole Palmer that you're used to seeing at Chelsea. But then after the game, some additional information came out. Liam Rosenior revealed that Palmer and Reece James hardly trained properly before this match. And essentially just like ran themselves into the ground to get through this game. I think this was important to know because we as a fan base get on Cole Palmer very, very easily in the past couple of games, especially like with the online crowd and, like pundits and whatnot, because he's not performing to what we're used to seeing a Cole Palmer performance. But he's human, right? Like we can't expect this guy to do miracles week in, week out, every single season. He's definitely going through something. He's definitely recovering from that groin injury. And with this flu that's going around Stamford Bridge, like who knows, right? Like that has an impact on your body. And if you're not able to train, like chances are, like match wise, that match fitness is not going to be there. So I think we just need to have a little bit more grace when it comes to Cole Palmer and some of the squad players, because right now it's just a really, really weird time for the club. Moving on, and speaking of the fact that we kept going to the left with Garnacho, it finally happened, right? And we gave the ball to Pedro Neto. He attacks his man on the right side, and then puts in a quality ball across the box. And I mean, this was a beautiful ball, right? All Garnacho had to do was just tap it in the far post, and he doesn't. He scuffs it. It goes wide. At that point, like I was furious because I felt like it should have been 2-0, right? Granted, the ball was coming in with some power and some pace, but at this level, man, like I'd expect Garnacho to literally open up his body, tap it in with his left foot, easy 2-0 up, a little bit more comfort, a little bit more control of the game, and takes that pressure off the squad. So disappointed that was a huge opportunity that was missed. And this is something that, we need to get better at as a club. I get it. We're young. But this can't be the excuse every single week, right? Like we need to be able to finish these opportunities that are put literally on a plate for us. So by halftime, like some of my thoughts were like Brentford, they're a good team, right? Let's not kid ourselves. Brentford are a really, really good club. I think they came into this game winning 4 of their last 5 games, and they drew 1. So they were on a really, really good form at this point, right? And that 1-0 lead that we had just felt super fragile, right? Because one goal changes everything. And we know this. As Chelsea fans, like we've been through this way too many times to relax when we're up 1-0, right? And we were also keeping our eye on the table because that context also mattered, right? So if we lost or drew this game, we would actually drop below Brentford on the table, right? And this wasn't about, like, I don't think this game was about playing pretty at all. It was just about finding a way to get the 3 points, and I think that's what the messaging had to be for Liam Rosenior in the locker room at halftime, right? Even at the end of the game, I think Liam Rosenior made a quote where he said, "We have to find ways to win in different ways, right? We can't always be free flowing, beautiful football, right?" And that's important because I feel like, for any title winning team, for any top team, they essentially have to find ways to win even when they play ugly. And that's something that we've been struggling with, even with Maresca. Guys, at this moment in the game and the season where Chelsea usually lose control, I believe it's like one sloppy pass, one bad decision, one lapse of judgment, and suddenly a game you should be, winning turns into a panic. So it's important to just, forget tactics for a second. This was, again, all about mentality, right? Could this team stay switched on for the rest of the game, or are we a one-half team again, right? Or would we just undo all of that good work that we did to get that goal in the second half? That's what really was on top of my mind. So getting into the second half, like I kid you not, maybe like 4 or 5 minutes into the second half, and this is where Robert Sánchez deserves, huge, serious credit. Somehow Sade gets through. He's 1v1 with Sánchez, and Sánchez sticks out his left leg and saves it. But honestly, this was not a one-off. He had multiple excellent saves this game. He was commanding, he was alert, and he was decisive. Exactly what you want to see from your goalkeeper. There were moments in this game where he genuinely looked like prime Peter Cech. I know, it's a crazy take, but that's how good he was playing. And after that horror show that we saw against Arsenal, this was exactly the response that you want to see from Robert Sánchez. That save was massive because if that went in, that would have changed the game completely. Then around the 57th minute, we started seeing some changes happen. Garnacho and Tosin were taken off, and Andre Santos and Fofana were brought on, right? So, Palmer at that point moved over to the right, and Neto moved over to the left. And instantly, and I'm talking about instantly, we already saw better balance. and the team just started to gel a little bit better. The only problem here was that we didn't really have an outlet, right? So João Pedro, we all know he's not an in and out striker. He's not someone who's going to be up top trying to relieve pressure, hold up the ball. He likes to move in and out and link up plays and whatnot. So we were struggling to really create anything up top, right? So then in the 73rd minute, this was smart management by Liam Rosinya. João Pedro comes off, Liam Delap comes on. Again, we needed that outlet, someone to hold up the ball, someone to give us that breather, because Brentford were really pushing. You could tell they were out there trying to score, trying to equalize. They had the urgency, they had the attacks, they just wanted it. They had the hunger, and we needed to kind of like relieve some of that pressure. And I feel like Delap did a good job of that. And I kid you not, like a minute later was a turning point, right? Pure chaos. Brentford makes a mistake. Their goalie, spills the ball into the box. Obviously, Liam Delap reacts first. Goalie takes him out. He wins a penalty. Instant impact a minute after coming on, and that's exactly why you bring on Liam Delap in that moment, right? You need that energy. You need that press. You need that aggressiveness, and you need someone to just relieve that pressure from the team, and he did exactly what he was brought on to do. Then obviously, who else but Cole Jermaine Palmer steps up to take the penalty. Remember, this guy has not trained properly. He's running on fumes. He's recovering from a groin injury, but there's no hesitation from Palmer. He steps up, calmly puts it into the corner. Boom, 2-0 Chelsea. Ice cold finish, what you would expect. Then later on into the game, you saw some game management again from Liam Rosinya. Enzo Fernandez, Reece James came off. Hato and Josh Achapong got some minutes, which was great to see. Fresh legs. We got to protect the lead a little bit with that cushion. 7 minutes of stoppage time, and we just saw out a professional win. It wasn't pretty, but we just got the job done and we got the 3 points. And that's sometimes the reality, right? Like if you look at this game, possession wise, Brentford had 54% possession. They had more than us. They had twice as many shots on target as us. They had more big chances. They had more overall shots, right? So this was not a dominant Chelsea win, right? But, like I said, later on we found out that there was a flu running through the squad. A lot of players were not feeling well, but they were playing through, symptoms, right? And that's something that affects your energy levels, that affects your productivity, and you're just not yourself, right? So with some of these players were battling like chest pains, like extreme chest pains from what Liam Rosinya told us, right? But they still pushed through, which explains a lot, because we saw a lot of them not looking great. Palmer didn't even celebrate when he scored. Enzo's face looked like he was just like uncomfortable the whole game. So this shows character from this squad, and I love to see that. And yeah, so who cares, right? Like this wasn't vintage Chelsea, right? This was professional, right? Players pushed through, when it mattered, and they adapted. The team found a way to win. We got the clean sheet, we got the 3 points, and sometimes that's just enough. What can you say? So on another note, like when we look around the league, the title race table, so to speak, the title race just got a little bit more interesting in my opinion. Arsenal obviously dropped points, drawing with Nottingham Forest. They could have gone 9 points clear of City, but that gap stays at 7, right? And here's a twist. Aston Villa could move into second place, right? With a win or a draw, right? So if Villa win, that gap on Arsenal, I think it's like at 4 points, right? So with 16 games left in the season, nothing is settled, and Arsenal, you need to watch your back. So there's definitely a lot of interesting things happening in the table. Another thing I wanted to touch on before I wrap up, there are rumors that we might see Mykhailo Mudryk back very, very soon at Chelsea Football Club. Nothing is confirmed yet, but if this is true, that's massive. We need the pace, we need direct runners, and we need more options. And if Mudryk comes back fit and confident, it gives us a whole nother dimension that we've been missing. Definitely one to watch. That's it for me, guys. If you enjoyed this breakdown, like, subscribe, and drop your thoughts in the comments. Was this a turning point for Chelsea, or is this just another patch-up job? Let me know what you think. Up the Chelsea. We move with 3 points, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.